Chose my dog over my brother's wedding, got exiled from the family, refused to apologize, got labeled the villain, blocked everyone, and realized real loyalty is about who actually shows up for you. Look, I get it. Weddings are supposed to be big, life-changing, once-in-a-lifetime events, well, in theory. But when my brother's wedding date clashed with a serious situation involving my dog, I had to make a choice. One that has now branded me as the selfish sibling of the family. A little background. My brother and I have never been super close. We're about 4 years apart, and growing up, we had more of a tolerable coexistence rather than a deep bond. He was always the golden child, the one who followed the rules, excelled in sports, and made my parents proud. I was the difficult one, the one who quit things halfway, dyed my hair weird colors, and never quite fit into their ideal version of a perfect family. So, when he announced his engagement, I was happy for him, but not exactly involved in the planning process. Fast forward to 6 months before the wedding. My brother and his fiancée pick a date. No big deal, right? Well, here's where things get complicated. That date just so happened to fall on the exact same weekend my dog, Murphy, was scheduled for an important surgery. Murphy isn't just a pet. He's my best friend. He's an 11-year-old golden retriever. And if you've ever had a senior dog, you know how fragile they can be. He's been with me through college, breakups, job losses, literally my most loyal companion. A few months prior, he was diagnosed with a tumor that needed to be removed ASAP. But due to specialist availability, the soonest we could get him in was, of course, the weekend of my brother's wedding. I tried everything. I looked into rescheduling Murphy's surgery, but the vet warned against delaying it any longer. I also checked if I could attend at least part of the wedding, but it was a destination event 3 states away. There was no feasible way I could be there while also taking care of Murphy post-op. So, I made the call. I told my brother I couldn't make it. I didn't expect him to be thrilled, but I also didn't expect the complete meltdown that followed. He flipped out, calling me selfish, telling me I was choosing an animal over my own flesh and blood. My parents sided with him, saying I was making excuses because I've never really cared about family events. Even his fiancée, who I thought was relatively level-headed, sent me a passive-aggressive text about how some people just don't understand the significance of a wedding. I get that weddings are a big deal, but so is my dog's health. I wasn't skipping for a vacation or a concert. I was literally taking care of a living being that depends on me. I even offered to celebrate with my brother before or after the wedding, but he refused to hear it. He told me if I didn't show up, I shouldn't bother calling him my brother anymore. Well, I didn't show up. Murphy's surgery went well, though the recovery process was rough. He needed constant monitoring, medication, and help getting around. If I had left him alone, I don't know what would have happened. But even though I know I made the right call for Murphy, my family still isn't speaking to me. It's been months, and my brother hasn't responded to a single message. So, am I really a bad person for choosing my dog over my brother's wedding? Because honestly, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. A few months have passed since the wedding, and honestly, things are still weird. My brother still isn't speaking to me. My parents are being polite, but distant, like I've been downgraded to some second-tier relative they only interact with when necessary. Every conversation is surface level. How's work? Did you see that new show on Netflix? But there's a thick layer of unspoken tension underneath it all. And the worst part? I actually started to feel guilty. Not because I regret staying with Murphy. He's doing much better now, still a little wobbly, but back to his happy, tail-wagging self. But because I started to wonder if I had, in some way, broken something beyond repair. So, in an effort to extend an olive branch, I sent my brother a message. Something simple like, "Hey, I know you're mad and I hate that things are like this. I just wanted to say that I hope your wedding was amazing, and I'd love to hear about it sometime." No response. A week later, I tried again. "I miss you, man. Can we talk?" Still nothing. At this point, I started questioning if this whole thing was about the wedding at all. I mean, yeah, I get why he was upset, but was it really worth cutting me out completely? I started replaying our whole relationship in my head, wondering if I'd missed something bigger. Had I been a crappy sibling all along? Had I done something else to make him resent me? Was this just the excuse he needed to finally write me off? My parents, of course, weren't much help. When I brought it up to my mom, she just sighed and said, "You hurt him deeply, and he needs time." When I pointed out that I had tried apologizing and reaching out, she hit me with, well, maybe you should try harder. Try harder how? Show up at his house with a wedding cake and a PowerPoint presentation about why Murphy needed me that weekend? Meanwhile, my dad was more direct. You should have gone to the wedding, he said. At the end of the day, he's your brother, and family comes first. That line pissed me off, because in my mind, family doesn't come first just because you share DNA. Family should be about love, about understanding, about showing up for each other in the ways that actually matter. And the way I see it, I did show up, just not in the way they wanted me to. And here's the kicker. My brother's wedding wasn't even a small affair. It wasn't some intimate 20-person backyard ceremony where my absence would have left a gaping hole in the guest list. No, this thing had over 200 guests. He had cousins from across the country, friends from college, co-workers, neighbors. I doubt anyone even noticed I wasn't there except for him. But to my family, it wasn't about logistics. It was about the principle. I was supposed to prove that I valued my brother above all else. And in their eyes, I failed that test. So here I am, months later, still estranged from my brother, still feeling like the black sheep of the family. All because I refused to abandon my sick, elderly dog for a wedding that probably went just fine without me. And the wildest part? If I could do it all over again, I'd still pick Murphy. Because at the end of the day, he's the one who's been there for me. He's the one who's never judged me, never made me feel like I had to prove my worth. He's just loved me, unconditionally, in the way that I wish my family did. So, if that makes me a bad person, fine. I'll be the bad guy. But at least I know Murphy will always be on my side. A few more months went by. I just started getting used to the silence. At first, I kept checking my phone, hoping my brother would finally respond to one of my messages. But after being ignored enough times, I just stopped trying. If he wanted to be mad forever, that was his choice. I wasn't going to grovel for forgiveness when I didn't even think I did anything wrong. But then, because life is never as simple as just letting things go, Thanksgiving rolled around, and my mom, in her usual way, decided this was the perfect time to guilt trip me into showing up. You were coming to dinner, right? She asked over the phone, in that tone that wasn't quite a demand, but definitely wasn't a question. I hesitated. Is he going? He's family, she said, which didn't answer the question at all. Mom, is he going? A pause. Then, reluctantly, yes. Then I don't think it's a good idea, I said. I don't want to deal with drama. Oh, for God's sake, she snapped. It's Thanksgiving, not a boxing match. Can you two just be adults and put this behind you? Oh, so now I was the immature one, not the guy who hadn't responded to a single text in nearly 8 months. I sighed. I don't know, Mom. I'll think about it, which was basically my nice way of saying, hell no. Except, of course, she took that as a yes. So a week later, I got a text in the family group chat, which, by the way, had been radio silent since the wedding incident. It was from my dad. Dad, glad you're coming to Thanksgiving. Looking forward to seeing you. I blinked. Excuse me? Before I could respond, my mom sent another message. Mom, I told everyone you'd be there. We'll set a place for you. Can you bring a dessert? I stared at my phone, completely baffled. In what universe did I'll think about it translate to I'm definitely coming and also I will provide pie? But then my brother, who had not responded to a single text in 8 months, finally broke his silence. Brother, looking forward to it. That was it. No paridi. No acknowledgement of the fact that he had been stonewalling me for the better part of a year. Just a casual looking forward to it, like we were old friends catching up over brunch. And for a second I thought, you know what? Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe this means he's ready to move past it. But then I made the mistake of calling my cousin, who is thankfully on my side in all of this, and telling her about the invite. She sighed heavily. Yeah, so, don't get mad, but I overheard something when I was at Aunt Lisa's last weekend. Oh, God, I groaned. What now? She hesitated. Your brother told everyone he's going to be the bigger person and forgive you at Thanksgiving. I almost choked on my coffee. Wait, forgive me? Yup, she said. Apparently, he thinks you owe him a public apology for embarrassing him before the wedding. I could feel my blood pressure rising. How exactly did I embarrass him? By not showing up? She sighed. He told everyone you made his wedding about your dog and that you disrespected him by not even trying to be there. I was speechless. This man had been ignoring me for 8 months, and now, suddenly, he wanted to graciously forgive me? I don't know what pissed me off more, the fact that he was painting himself as some kind of saint, or the fact that my entire family was just going along with it. So, after about 2 seconds of consideration, I did what I should have done from the very beginning. I sent a message in the family group chat. Me. Actually, I won't be able to make it to Thanksgiving. Hope you all have a great time. Silence. Then, my mom responded. Mom, what? Why? And because I was done with the passive-aggressive nonsense, I decided to be brutally honest. Me. Because I'm not interested in sitting at a table where I'm expected to apologize for something I'm not sorry for. If brother wants to talk, he knows how to reach me. But I'm not playing along with whatever narrative he's created to make himself feel better. This time, the silence lasted a lot longer. Then, finally, brother, wow, you really are selfish. And that was the moment I knew there was no fixing this. Because if 8 months of silence had taught me anything, it was that I had always been the one trying to mend things. I had always been the one reaching out, the one trying to smooth things over, the one hoping for some kind of understanding. But my brother? He had never once tried to see my side. He had never once acknowledged that maybe, just maybe, I had a valid reason for not showing up. And at this point, I was tired of chasing someone who clearly didn't give a damn about me. So, I left the group chat. And you know what? It felt amazing. I spent Thanksgiving at home, with Murphy curled up next to me on the couch. We ate a ridiculous amount of turkey, watched dumb movies, and went on a long, peaceful walk. And for the first time in months, I felt free. No guilt, no anxiety, no wondering if I should have handled things differently. Because at the end of the day, I didn't choose my dog over my brother. I chose myself. A few more weeks passed, and the fallout from my Thanksgiving group chat exit was exactly what you'd expect. Pure, unfiltered family chaos. My mom called me 3 times in one day. When I didn't answer, she left a voicemail that started off calm, but quickly escalated into, I just don't understand why you're doing this to us. We're family. How could you be so cold? Then my dad texted me something vague like, your mother is upset. Fix this. Which, let's be real, is the most dad text to ever exist. Even my aunt, who usually stays out of drama, chimed in with a very condescending, you know, life is short. Is holding a grudge really worth it? Holding a grudge? Me. I wasn't the one who ignored my own sibling for 8 months. I wasn't the one expecting a grand public apology, like I was some kind of medieval king. I wasn't the one treating a wedding like it was an episode of Game of Thrones where betrayals must be avenged at the Thanksgiving feast. But apparently, in the magical world of my family, my refusal to roll over and be the bad guy meant that I was now the official villain. So I did what any mature adult would do. I blocked everyone and lived my best life. For real. 0 regrets. Christmas came and went. And guess what? Murphy and I had the best damn holiday. I decorated the apartment, baked cookies, which he tried to steal, and binge-watched every corny Christmas movie Netflix had to offer. I even bought Murphy a little Santa hat, which he hated but tolerated for exactly 3 pictures before dramatically shaking it off like I had personally insulted his ancestors. Meanwhile, my family? Radio silence. And honestly, I thought that was it. I figured, okay, this is my life now. I'm officially the estranged sibling. Cool. Until the baby announcement. Oh yeah, my brother's wife was pregnant. And I did not hear it from him. I found out because my cousin, aka my secret informant, sent me a screenshot of my mom's Facebook post. It was one of those dramatic, sappy announcements with way too much cursive font. You know the kind. Our hearts are overflowing with joy. Our beautiful son and daughter-in-law are expecting the first grandchild of the family. We are beyond blessed. I had to read it twice. Not because I was surprised, I mean, they're married, this was obviously going to happen, but because my entire family had apparently known for weeks. And nobody had bothered to tell me. Not a single text. Not a single call. Nothing. And the part that really got me? My mom's post made it very clear that this wasn't just some casual announcement. No, they were throwing a full-on family party to celebrate. And, obviously, I wasn't invited. At first, I felt that weird, gut-punch sadness. You know the one. The kind that hits you when you realize, oh, I'm actually being erased from my own family's narrative. But then, almost instantly, that sadness turned into pure, fiery rage. Because, let's be real, this wasn't about a baby. This wasn't about family. This was about punishment. They wanted me to crawl back. They wanted me to beg for forgiveness. They wanted me to be so desperate to be included that I would finally say the words my brother had been waiting for since his wedding. I'm sorry for choosing my dog over you. But guess what? That apology was never coming. So, I did the only thing that made sense. I sent my brother a gift. Yeah, I sent a gift. But not just any gift. I sent them a tiny, adorable baby onesie with a picture of a golden retriever on it. And on the front, in bold, cutesy letters, it said, "My uncle loves his dog more than me." And let me tell you, that thing was expensive. High-quality cotton, organic, soft as hell. I even paid extra for express shipping, so it would get there right before the party. And then, I sat back, and I waited. 3 days later, my cousin called me wheezing. "Oh my God," she gasped between laughs. "Mom said your brother opened it in front of everyone. He was so pissed he just stormed out of the room." I smiled. "That's a shame. Did he at least like the fabric? It was premium cotton." "He called you an **** hole," she snorted. "Mom's mad. Dad's mad. Even Grandma said, well, that was unnecessary." "Unnecessary?" I repeated. "Oh, like not inviting me to a baby announcement was unnecessary." "Exactly," my cousin said. "But you know how they are. They'll never see it that way." And she was right. I could have written a 10-page dissertation explaining my side, complete with graphs, footnotes, and a PowerPoint presentation, and my family still wouldn't get it. Because to them, it was never about logic. It was never about right or wrong. It was about control. And the second I stopped playing by their rules, they lost their minds. So yeah, maybe I'm a villain now. Maybe my family will talk about me in hushed whispers at holiday gatherings. Maybe my parents will clutch their pearls and dramatically wonder how I lost my way. But you know what? Murphy is still here, still wagging his tail, still giving me unconditional love. And at the end of the day, I'd still pick him. Every time. A full year passed. A whole 12 months since my brother's wedding. Since Murphy's surgery. Since I had apparently committed the ultimate crime of prioritizing my dog over a family event. And in that time, you know what changed? Absolutely nothing. My brother never reached out. My parents still acted like I had personally set fire to the family tree. The only difference now was that I had fully accepted it. At first, there had been this tiny, nagging part of me that kept hoping. Hoping my brother would wake up one day and realize how stupid this whole thing was. Hoping my mom would stop guilt-tripping me long enough to actually listen to my side. Hoping someone in the family would acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't the monster they had made me out to be. But by the time my brother's baby was born, I finally understood. They weren't waiting for time to heal things. They were waiting for me to break. They wanted me to regret my decision. They wanted me to feel so isolated and so left out that I would come crawling back, tail between my legs, begging for their forgiveness. But here's the thing. I wasn't isolated. I wasn't alone. Because Murphy, he was still here. My goofy, graying, slightly slower but still perfect best friend. And he was so worth it. Even when the vet bills stacked up. Even when his legs got weaker and I had to carry him up the stairs some nights. Even when it became clear that we didn't have forever left. Because I knew if I had left him that weekend, if something had gone wrong while I was out partying at a wedding, I never would have forgiven myself. So, when I heard from my cousin, my ever-loyal informant, that my family was whispering about how one day I'd realize my mistake, I just laughed. Because my mistake was ever thinking they deserved a second chance. And then, just when I had fully made my peace with everything, my brother texted me. I was so caught off guard that I actually stared at my phone for a full minute before opening the message. It was short, blunt, almost cold. "Brother, Dad's birthday dinner next Saturday. Are you coming or not?" Not, "Hey, how have you been?" Not, "We should talk." Not, "Maybe we should finally clear the air." Just, "Are you coming or not?" And that's when I realized this wasn't an olive branch. This wasn't about me at all. It was about appearances. My absence had been causing whispers. People had started noticing that I wasn't around. My parents were probably sick of making up excuses for why their adult child had just disappeared from family functions. And now My brother was here to collect his performative forgiveness so that things could go back to normal. I could see it so clearly. I'd show up. Everyone would act like nothing ever happened. No one would acknowledge the past year. No one would say, "Hey, maybe we should talk about the fact that we treated you like garbage over a dog." No, they would just pretend, like I had never been the villain, like I had never been erased, like I had never spent months wondering if I even had a family anymore. And you know what? I was done pretending. So, I typed out my response. And for the first time in a year, I told my brother exactly how I felt. Me, no. I won't be there. I spent a long time feeling guilty for something I don't regret. And I'm done chasing people who only want me around when it's convenient. Hope the dinner is great. I hit send. And then, I blocked his number. Because the truth is, sometimes, family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up for you. Who loves you unconditionally, who stays by your side when everyone else walks away. And Murphy, he was my family. So, I turned off my phone, grabbed his leash, and took my best friend on a walk. Because for the first time in a year, I was finally, truly free.